Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. And this episode of NXT, it was alright. You know, I'm really looking forward to the time when NXT starts getting more stories in progress. I mean, we know what stories are in place to a degree, but we really haven't had any developments in those stories since, you know, NXT TakeOver Dallas and the fallout. This episode tonight, I mean, it wasn't horrendous by any means, but it just seemed like, oh, hey, we've got an hour to kill. Let's just throw some matches together. Some things stuck, other things, And overall, it was an hour that I was kind of glad to get through, which is completely antithetical to how I feel about every Lucha Underground, because it's an hour I never want to end by comparison. Ashton, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, it's weird. It kind of feels like NXT is just spinning their wheels at this point. And it's felt that way probably since London, I would say. Maybe even longer than that. Maybe even since Brooklyn. And really the only major developments that have happened in that time have been just title changes. Like Asuka's the champ now, and Joe is the champ now. And even both of those have only happened in the last month. And both of them were more like, okay, well, it's about time that happened, rather than, yes, I'm so glad this happened. You know what I mean?
Right, particularly the latter with Joe's title change, which we've already talked about, you know, at length.
Yeah, so, you know, it's really, really starting to feel monotonous watching NXT every week, because they put on great matches, and I'm not going to try and deny that, and I shouldn't even say great. They put on really good matches consistently every single week, and that, I think, is praiseworthy, and we do give them credit for that, but there's just so little substance behind it anymore that it's getting more difficult to watch, especially with Lucha Underground just going up in quality every week.
And I do think that's a problem, you know, treating seriously for a second this idea that Lucha Underground is just so consistently great. You know, I don't even think good is sufficient anymore for the product that Lucha Underground's been putting out. Obviously,
good hasn't been appropriate in a long time.
Yeah, and I would agree. And I feel like naturally, when you have that kind of exposure to a product of that level, your perceptions are bound to be altered for what's acceptable and what isn't. Now, is NXT acceptable? Sure it is, but I think that's where the buck stops at the same time. I really haven't been wowed, like, you know, mind blown, what just happened with NXT in really a long time. That's not to say that there haven't been any moments that have made me pop. You know, I was very grateful, you know, American Alpha, NXT Tag Team Champions, you know, it's a cool time. Asuka, NXT Women's Champion. But there really hasn't been anything that's, like, left me breathless or made me feel like I have to see next week, I have to. Where I feel like that's actually become the norm with Lucha Underground. And I think when you're just operating on two completely different playing fields at that point, which does make watching the latter, in this case being NXT, you know, dare I say cumbersome. I mean, I respect all the performers. I respect what NXT is about. But, I mean, I should say Lucha Underground, is in a completely different league at this point. So.
Exactly, it is. Lucha Underground has better matches consistently on television. Plus, they also have the added dimension of their stories are incredible, their characters are amazing. They have, like, literally anything NXT does well, Lucha Underground does it way better.
Yeah, and I would agree. I mean, we just got done saying in our Lucha Underground review, which if you guys haven't watched that yet, I would suggest you do so. I mean, me in particular, I really tried to drive home the fact in that review that Lucha Underground isn't just changing the game with pro wrestling. I mean, the things they do within the medium of television as a whole, I just think makes everybody take notice. And NXT, it's got a wonderful thing going. And again, I love everybody there and this, that, and the other. But it really feels like they've been sluggish lately. You know, I don't get that same pop from NXT is when it first, initially transformed and we realized we were going to get this glorious thing. The days when Seth Rollins was just coming into his own and we didn't even have an NXT champion. And it's come such a long way since then. But I think at the same time, when you go that far, your legs are bound to get tired. And yeah, I think NXT has slowed down these days. But with that said, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And again, no heats of the night, no nitpicks. It's just kind of meh. No developments even really worth dissecting. Ashton, what about you?
Yeah, no, I don't really have any heats of the night either. I don't even really have any nitpicks other than what we've already kind of complained about, that it just kind of feels like they're spinning their wheels and not actually progressing anything. The post-live special slump is real.
Yeah, and you know what the crazy thing, maybe this is just me, and maybe again this is because Lucha Underground's really coinciding with it, which is kind of exacerbating these sentiments, but I don't ever remember a slump lasting this long post-takeover, whatever the name is. I just feel like this has been particularly extended. I normally feel like after most takeover specials, NXT kind of gets out of it by now, maybe even before this point, and they just still seem stuck in it. So it is a bit concerning, to be sure. With that said, you didn't really have any nitpicks tonight, neither did I. Let's get right into our NXT review, and we open this baby up with the announcer saying, that what happened in Lowell, Massachusetts, last Thursday, I believe it was, and they said that we are going to, recap that here tonight, so we know that we're going to have some of the gaps filled for those that just probably don't know what the hell's going on, and then we go from that to Asuka coming out because our NXT Women's Champion is in a match tonight against Eva Marie. Honestly, the highlight of this match to me, and I know it was for you too, because I know I could hear you laughing throughout, and I think you even commented on it. Corey Graves and Tom Phillips are magic together when it comes to Eva Marie's matches, dude.
Oh my god. It's admittedly it is mostly Corey Graves, but Tom Phillips being unafraid to stand up for himself, which is so different than Byron Saxton, I think is gold.
Dude, I love it because I feel like that's a recent development with Tom as well. That's not, I mean, he would stand up for himself here and there, but now it's really consistent. He is not taking Corey's shit, and I really like that. I want Tom to keep standing up for himself and, keep egging Corey on, because I love some of the shit that Tom was giving him. I love Corey Graves to death, but I gotta give Tom Phillips his due. I think he even made me laugh in some ways more than Corey did, because when Corey would just be like, oh, well, shut up, Tom, or Tom, stop using the references. That came out of your mouth, dude, 4 weeks ago. I just love how he stayed on top of Corey Graves the entire time. They're an amazing dynamic. That's how commentary can, A, do their job of relaying what's going on in the ring, B, be entertaining, which I'm sure the other announcers, particularly on Raw try and do, JBL with his obnoxious humor, and C, though, and this is the important thing, they can be entertaining without being the show. They still blend into the background in my mind perfectly. They never overtake what's going on in the ring. So yeah, Corey Graves and Tom Phillips, absolutely wonderful. Gotta say, I was a bit surprised in this match. We actually did get, on 2 different instances that I counted, people supporting Eva Marie. So, she has her fans out there, I guess. Didn't save her any, because Asuka still, just dominated. And the other really big story point here was that Nia Jax came out at one point, and she remained at ringside for the remainder of the matchup. But Asuka does win with a spin kick that I believe caught Eva Marie in the head. Pins Eva Marie, then her and Nia Jax have a face-to-face altercation. Nothing really comes of it. Nia walks out with Eva. Asuka stands tall in her ring. Not a bad match, Eva gets the heat and even some cheers. Asuka being Asuka, it's obviously a match that's going to work well because Eva's the perfect kind of heel foil. So on that front, it was fine. And even the wrestling wasn't that bad. It was what it was. You knew what the end result was going to be. Asuka wins. I'm still more curious about what the rematch is going to be for Bayley and Asuka, if anything at all. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. So up next, after this match is over, post-match, Nia comes in to help Eva, but she kind of lingers, and Asuka throws a spin kick just out of range of cracking Nia in the face, and we get a stare down before Nia and Eva leave together.
Yeah, you have to imagine that. Bayley does have a return match, so I think that comes first. But then after that, you have to imagine that a Nia Asuka program is in the books. And I would like to see Nia dump Eva before then, but that's probably wishful thinking. And plus, they probably wouldn't even take an action like that until after a program like this is over, because they don't want Nia to get that babyface momentum, and you know that's exactly what'll happen when she turns on Eva. Yep. So that'll come at a different time, and when it does, I mean, hell, Nia could very well be, a really successful babyface in NXT. I mean, time will only tell, but yeah, you definitely know that's a match down the road. Asuka wins, nothing more to say than that.
All right, up next, we had a few clips from the Balor-Joe match in Lowell, Massachusetts. We got to see a few finishing moves, and well, not a few. We saw the finish of the match. We saw a few random spots, like they showed Finn doing a drop kick to Joe on the barricade, and they said that he got injured, and then Joe knocked his feet out from underneath of him, which led to the Muscle Buster and the win. And then we got a Samoa Joe promo as the champion, and he said, I told you that I was the inevitable. Finn only survived, but tonight he didn't.
And he walked off. And see, this is the kind of promoist that to me Joe should always be, especially as a heel. Keep it succinct. Granted, when he does go on a little bit longer, I'm not talking a full-blown soliloquy, though, he can still be strong, but this is the Joe I love best. Speaking in sound bites like this, I told you I was the inevitable. Goosebumps. I mean, this guy knows how to work it. Looks great with that NXT championship. Really excited for him to have his run now.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we get our second match of the night, the Revival versus Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, a.k.a. the Jamokes.
Yeah, and Jamoke number 2, I just gotta say this first and foremost. Beg pardon? Matt Lee. Yeah, I might just call him the Jamokes and follow in the spirit of Corey Graves, but Matt Lee, here's the thing. Annoyed the shit out of me, and I couldn't wait to see him get, this tar kicked out of him. But I will say this, I also have to compliment him at the same time, because while he annoyed me, there can be no denying that he at least tried to maximize his time and create an atmosphere on the apron and have a personality that people can connect with. And to a degree, it worked. Because because I know Scott Dawson got in his face and one was like, come on, get in here. I'm respecting the rules. That got a nice chuckle out of the crowd. And then when his partner was getting kicked in the ribs and just beat down, and did you say his name was Jerome Parker? Did I get that right?
No, not Jerome. Jeff.
Jeff Parker, excuse me. Jeff Parker was getting the crap beat out of him. Then, he was just like, defense! So that, and then the crowd started chanting that at least, I think they chanted it one time when he was getting the crap beat out of him. When he got tagged in after Scott Dawson tossed Jeff Parker into the corner, and then Matt Lee got the tag. So that, he maximized his time. I gotta give Matt credit. He utilized his time to the best of his ability. I don't know if we'll see this team back on NXT, but I at least credit him for trying to have a personality in there, even though I just relished in him getting beat down. I mean, that was so satisfying. Great.
Of course it was.
Well, he just annoyed the shit out of me. I'm just like, kick him in the face, and they did, and I was just so grateful. So, and I gotta say, too, on a side note, before I forget, to me, the Revival were the best part of the whole show. Between what they did in this match and what they would do later, which we'll get to, they were easily the best part of the show.
They were definitely a highlight, easily, for sure, yeah.
Oh, my God. Dude, well, to me, they're the only ones, because they lost the NXT tag titles at TakeOver Dallas. And you could tell, not only by their actions, but by their words, because they did a post-match promo, which we'll get to in a little bit, because then I want to field your thoughts on the match. But they had an intensity and an aggression and body language that just said, we are lacking something. Yeah, we feel incomplete. They really sold the loss, and I appreciate that. I'm not saying Bayley didn't, or that Balor won't when we get his comments, but these guys really let you know, we feel naked. We don't feel complete without those NXT tag team titles, and I freaking love it. Oddly enough, and I already love the Revival to begin with, but an American Alpha territory though, but I feel like I love the Revival even more now after this, because they have something to prove and they're actually looking hungry. This was some amazing character work tonight.
I definitely agree with that.
I mean, do you have any comments about the match, Doc? And I know the Revival got some sick double team work in here, and they just worked that ring, man. I mean, god damn, they tore these guys apart.
I just love how they can go from methodical to vicious at just the flip of a switch. It's
Yes, yes. Dude. I loved commentary because I think they more or less, and I may not be exact quoting here, so forgive me, but this is definitely, paraphrasing. Tom Phillips said, well, Corey, there's no doubt about it. This is a down and dirty brawl, or down and dirty fight. And then Corey was like, no, this is a one-sided assault. And he was right. A fight implies that at least the other guy threw at least one punch, at least one. But Corey had it on the nose. No. The Revival beat the ever-loving crap out of these guys and made no apologies or any bones about it. This is a heel tag team that's gunning for the American Alpha right here. I so invested in the rematch now, and I thought they had an amazing match at Dallas. I think actually one of the more underrated matches on the show. I'm even more intrigued now for the rematch if this is the Revival that's coming for American Alpha. Awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Man, they're so good. It's so weird too, because on Monday when we got to see Anderson and Gallows, I said to myself, well, these guys are just like the improved version of the Revival, because like they're both pretty good wrestlers. Anderson is the talker. He's like the Scott Dawson of the two, but they're both like way taller, which makes them fit better on the main roster. But now we've got Dash and Dawson stepping it up too. And it's like, my thought was, oh, well, these guys totally make the Revival obsolete, but we've got to, or at least I've got to keep in mind that they're in two different sort of territories with Anderson and Gallows on the main roster and the Revival in NXT.
Let me ask you, Asher, because I would never want to put words in your mouth.
Sure.
The kind of match that the Revival had tonight, I think that's what you visualized, what you wanted Anderson and Gallows' debut to be.
Yes! Oh, wow. That was way to bring it full circle. Yes, 100% yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and they went out there and they did it. And let me tell you something, with work like this, I don't give a shit if your name is Anderson, Gallows, Styles, whatever. You keep your spot. You may not move up because of those aforementioned names, but I'll be damned if anybody's going to take your spot. These were guys that were looking at people and like, we will kill a bitch. You think you're going to take our spot. I fucking love it, dude. I resonate with hunger so much, heel or face. And these guys are hungry to be two-time NXT Tag Team Champions. Their post-match promo where Scott Dawson actually begins by breathing and laughing into the microphone. I know that wasn't like an intended part of the promo, but it worked because I'm like, oh shit, these guys are gone. Like, they're not with us anymore because they've just got this one-track mind for the titles. Was great. And they more or less said, yeah, every tag team is on notice because we are the best team on the planet. And what I love too, and I'm telling you, the Revival were easily the best part of the show for me tonight. And you could tell with how I'm just flowing the compliments to them. The lines they had didn't feel forced, didn't feel like generic heel 101. I believe them when they said it. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's true that they are the best tag team on the planet. Certainly a debate can be had there. But I believe that they believe it the way that Scott Dawson said it. Just awesome all around tonight. This was really a career night to me for the Revival because now that they're not champions, you got to work to keep that spot, to stay relevant, whatever. I think they did that tonight. Probably more than anybody recently coming off of losses at TakeOver Dallas. So excellent stuff.
That's a good point, too, because when you watch them have this kind of confidence in a promo, it's hard to even kind of let it sink in like, oh my God, yeah, these guys are coming off a loss. Like, you can't tell.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can't tell, but not even in a bad way like that Cena way when he just kind of smiles and rubs up.
No, I mean, like they're just so confident and laser focused that it's like, well, yeah, they might have lost, but that hasn't, they're not down in the dumps. They're just almost, it's like they're just angry about it,
Yeah, well, it's just like, it's a mindset. Like, I remember one of my favorite backstage segments, like, as a kid, because, moments like that are more impressionable on you when you're young. It was Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit together after SummerSlam 04. It was a rough night for both of them because Eddie Guerrero lost a match to Kurt Angle. Obviously, Benoit lost the title to Orton, and Benoit is just distraught. He doesn't even want to look at anybody. He's just like, whatever. Guerrero comes up to him, and he says one line that sticks to me when I think about this match tonight. He says, hey, if anything, I fear you more now because you've got something to prove. And that's exactly how I am with the Revival. I fear them more now if you're American Alpha because these guys have something to prove. They want to prove, hey, we don't care what the hot sensation of the tag team division is. Those are our tag team titles. we're the best and we're coming to prove it. These guys, man, something else right now. Damn. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So up next, though, we had the third match of the night, which, I mean, the Revival weren't involved with directly, but they would become involved eventually. The Hype Bros versus Blake and Murphy. Sadly, though, no Alexa Bliss. And I'm not the only one that said that. Corey Graves pointed it out, and the crowd even asked, "Where's Alexa?"
Yeah, that just shows you that she really, and I can't believe I'm about to say this here, but Alexa really is part of the team. I remember how you and I would go back and forth, though. She's just about, no, she's part of the team, John. Yeah, apparently she is part of the team because everybody noticed her absence. Everybody. That said, on a more serious note, I've got to ask, what are Blake and Murphy still doing here?
That's a question that I'd like to know the answer to as well, because
they are so good. And I feel like even for people, and I'm just saying in my neck of the woods, Ashton, because I know you frequent your spaces and I frequent mine on the internet, and sometimes we kind of mingle in the same space, obviously, but, people in my neck of the woods have come around on Blake and Murphy, and Alexa Bliss when she was more prominently with them. And they're so good. They're so talented. Now, I get if you want to put some teams over, even if they are the Hype Bros, so I'm not even really looking to take the piss out of. We'll save that for the post-match because I got plenty of chuckles to give. But, Blake and Murphy are so good. What are they doing here if they're just going to lose and then have that self-destruction? The only excuse, and I think you even said this either last week or 2 weeks ago on NXT TWitWoW when we were having a discussion about Blake and Murphy, the only viable excuse I could see is if you're serious about giving Buddy Murphy a singles push in NXT. That's it. Other than that, though, I don't see why you can't call these guys up and have them contribute to the tag team division. Because as much as I love the Vaudevillains, these guys are above the Vaudevillains in terms of ability. And I guarantee you with their look, the ring gear that they have, and the music, they'd probably make a connection with casual audiences quicker than the Vaudevillains have because they've really struggled on that front. So I don't know what they're still doing here. It's really mind-boggling, especially when they wrestle a match like this where the psychology and the tag team wrestling are on point because they pick the leg of Zack Ryder apart. I mean, that's really a prominent part of the match is the psychology that Blake and Murphy work, with Zack Ryder in particular. But it's all for naught because, as has been the case with Blake and Murphy lately, they lose control and ultimately the Hype Bros regain it. And it ends with the Hype Rider, I think it is, that double team move.
Sadly.
Yeah, and they lose, and Hype Bros win, which, again, I get, because it seems like the Hype Bros are on an incline. They're going up, which I do kind of have to smile a little bit, because they never did get their win back, from what I recollect, over the Vaudevillains, which kind of spurned this whole desire in them to be a great tag team to begin with, when how the Vaudevillains dominated them. So fine, you beat Blake and Murphy. But what did Blake and Murphy do? Because you don't even have to wait on my account to formalize this whole split between them and Alexa and do the whole thing. Just call them up. They are so good. In fact, it's really becoming criminal how underutilized they've been on NXT, and that needs to change. I mean, yeah, good matchup, but really I'm bemoaning the fact, not that the Hype Bros won, because obviously, look, it's a division, that's a team that they want to build, whatever. No, where I'm sad and where I have sour grapes is that I look at two really talented guys in Blake and Murphy, and it's a shame. I mean, hell, commentary even noted that Wesley Blake was trained by Dory Funk Jr., and like, you talk about credentials like that, we've praised Buddy Murphy till the end of time, and they're stuck here doing this. It doesn't seem fair to me. If developmental is all about guys getting better, there is no getting better when you're already as good as you're going to be within the confines of your environment. Call them up so they can grow even more. Is there anything you want to add?
I think you about covered it, brother.
So, since I covered that, I'll let you take what definitely put the biggest smile on my face, and I'm sure quite a smile on yours.
The post-match beatdown, because the Revival comes out, and they give the Hype Bros exactly what they deserve.
Especially Mojo Rawley. He ain't hyped, bitch. I'm never hyped for you. Sit the hell down. Oh my goodness, the Revival just beat the shit out of these guys. And then I love it because I believe it was Dash Wilder does a backbreaker to Mojo, but holds him in position and then Scott Dawson comes off the apron with the elbow drop. And it's just beautiful. They lay him out, music plays, and then one fan I feel like got in the face of, I believe it was Dash Wilder, and I'm just like, do something. Yeah, that's right, sit down. It was great, man. It was great. Everybody's a bitch except the Revival. And they reiterated again, every tag team on, which, by the way, because I'm just, again, I don't know why, but like all of these thoughts are firing when it comes to the Revival tonight. Great way to not only substantiate the promo, but bring it full circle. Because they said every team was on notice, and in the same night they prove it. Because they attacked the Hype Bros. That is so smart. Backing up your words with actions bolsters your credibility. Who'da thunk it, huh? So the Revival really kicks ass. And that's not anything new, but I think they kick even more ass now, if that's even possible. This was great.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there to say? This, like, the coolest thing about the Revival's promo is the fact that they followed up on it.
Yes, unequivocally.
I mean, the promo was great, but if they would have just gone to the back and, we would have forgotten about them. But they came back out and did this, and it's like, oh, you're not forgetting about us tonight.
Yeah, and I won't, I promise. And I'm not even saying that for my own well-being, though. That's also a viable reason. This was amazing. Nothing more you can say than that, man. I loved it.
All right, I think we can move on. Up next, we had our fourth match of the night. We're just going boom, 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 match. Carmella versus Aliyah. This was sort of a quickish match. Carmella got some offense. Aliyah got to do some of her, unique stuff that we haven't really seen before. Admittedly, there were some parts of the match that felt sloppy, but at the end of the day, Carmella won with her leg sleeper.
I gotta say, and maybe this is just me, because I know you just got done saying that some parts of the match were sloppy, so I don't know, what in particular. I guess we'll find out from you in a sec, but I liked Aliyah here. Was she perfect? No. But I thought it was a nice debut. I particularly liked her transition from hold to hold to hold at one point when she starts at kind of the kneeled full Nelson. Then she still has it, but with the body scissors. And then she goes from that to just, grabbing the arms, doing that kind of wrapping the legs around the arms, and then taking the arms and then holding Carmella up, elevating her by the feet while the arms are being pulled back. Aliyah just going from hold to hold to hold. I thought that was nice. Her leg drop was interesting. I don't know if it was the best. I'd have to go back and look at it again, because I just got a weird vibe about it.
Like the sort of stylized stuff that she did leading up to the leg drop was cool, but the leg drop itself looked sloppy. And so sloppy, in fact, that they had to do a camera cut in order to make it look slightly less sloppy.
Right. So, I mean, clearly, look, she has a lot of learning to do, but I want to see more, actually. I think, she did enough where I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. I wasn't immediately turned off, so to speak. Carmella had her comeback, and here's the thing, I don't know if it was just this crowd, because it certainly wasn't just Carmella. I feel like this crowd is kind of weird all night for me. But it'll be interesting to see the kind of babyface momentum she can build, now that she could just focus solely on herself, because Enzo and Cass got the call-up. She tried to get the crowd, with their pre-match promo, bada bing, and she wanted them to say hottest chick in the ring. And, I mean, you even messaged me, quote, fucking nobody said it, LOL. I feel like maybe only like 2 or 3 people said it, because I heard somebody say it, but it wasn't
I had my volume turned up at a decent volume. It wasn't blaring in my ears, but I could still hear pretty much everything, and I didn't hear it at all.
Yeah, so, but you know what, though? I'm going to chalk it up to it just being, like, that crowd, and Carmella just now starting to do it on her own now that Enzo and Cass are going to dominate the mic. I think it'll come together for her.
Oh, See, I'm kind of worried that Enzo and Cass were the biggest reason that she was over, and that now, with them not being around, her level of connection with the crowd might drop a little.
See, is it going to taper off a little bit? I think that's to be expected. But I think Carmella can really build something with the NXT crowds. I do. I have faith in her. I'm not going to withdraw my chips just yet. We'll see where it goes. And will she ever be NXT Women's Champion? Jury's out as far as I'm concerned. I can't give a definitive yes or no, but I do think she can build a connection. I just think, this crowd was a little weird in parts tonight. And I'd be more curious if, say, we see Carmella 2 or 3 weeks from now, because we know the whole roster rotation, what her reaction would be then. So we'll see. But yeah, for now, not the best night, but she does get the win. She does keep moving forward.
Yep. All right. And then we get to an interview. Dasha Fuentes interviewing Elias Samson. He seems to think that William Regal misinterpreted his song and his words, and that he would make it clearer soon enough. And he tells Shinsuke Nakamura that he is the drifter, and that Nakamura never should have drifted into NXT.
Ooh.
That's the perfect reaction.
Yeah, that's really the only right. Because here's the thing, like, I like Elias Samson. I know you and I have been very complimentary of him in the past. I mean, this promo didn't knock my socks off. Honestly, maybe it was just in the mood that I was in, because Lucha Underground was so good and all that stuff, and I was more like, I was in the afterglow with everything the Revival did, because, again, for me, that was the standout. Then I'm just like, oh, we got a badass over here, look at him spitting lines, and, so it was what it was, but I'm just like, Elias, you got nothing, you got shit, son, don't even front, man, don't even front, but, yeah, it was what it was.
You just said don't front.
That's right. Twice, actually. I said it twice.
I feel like that hasn't been a thing for, like, over a decade, but whatever.
Well, yeah, I'm bringing it back. Yeah, there you go.
I believe up next was our main event, though.
I'm going to let you have this one because I know Shinsuke is your boy, so what'd you think about this?
You know, it's really weird that you're letting me have this one, because honestly, I felt like his entrance felt already, after this is only his third match, like less of a big deal than it should be.
Wow. That's surprising to hear you say. Why do you think that is?
It's like the music. First of all, I do love the music. Don't get me wrong, but when the music's playing and he's doing like his crazy stuff during his entrance and his poses and his taunts and stuff, like it doesn't match with the music. And then when he gets in the ring and he does that crazy like bend back thing on the rope thing, there's no real place in the music to time that so that it looks cool, and it's just awkward. And I feel like NXT needs to work harder to make him seem like a big deal, other than just saying it a lot on commentary.
So for you, what it
dim
comes
the
down
lights,
to,
for God's sakes, like.
Yeah, I think for you it comes down to one word, and that's atmosphere. You don't feel like they've created an appropriate atmosphere for Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, because I just wanted to bring that up because I was just surprised to hear you say that. Now, here's the thing, right? I agree with you that I love the theme. In fact, I've even gone on Twitter and I've said I prefer that to his New Japan theme. But, and this is where it gets interesting, even though my personal preference is the WWE theme, no doubt that New Japan, I think, did a better job of having the theme work more with his mannerisms and his entrance. Because I feel like every little thing that he would do would be timed with certain points in the music. Whereas here, I don't really know if we're at that point yet. So I can totally pick up what you're laying down there. Definitely has some merit. Not really much you can say about the match. Elias Samson did some stuff, but I mean, let's be honest here. Like, two noteworthy points. Tom Phillips is trying to be, a good guy, create a little bit of an atmosphere. Oh, this could be really impressive for Elias Samson if he can beat Shinsuke Nakamura. And then Corey Graves immediately shoots that into the ground. Well, Tom, there's also a chance I could be the Pope, but that's just not going to happen. Or, really unlikely that that's going to happen. I'm like, wow, Graves, like, I know you hate Elias and I know that you're right, but you don't have to let everybody know that. Like, damn, man. And the only other funny part, which really substantiated Corey's entire point, the only reason Elias ever even got control in this match in the first place was because Shinsuke was too busy, like, posing and being a showman. And I did like Corey's little nickname for Shinsuke in this match, Swags K Nakamura. And, Elias was able to take control for a little bit, but it didn't last. Shinsuke immediately retook control. Got the inverted exploder, then hit the Kinshasa for the win, and that's it. 3 count, moves on to the next one. And it's just been the big question that you and I have had. Does he face Joe at a takeover? Does he face anybody really prominent for NXT? Or do we just go about our business and we get him on the main roster as soon as possible? Because, see, I know Shinsuke is a big deal, and Shinsuke is a big deal, and a lot of people do. I'm just wondering if the guys that, run the main roster and do all that stuff, if not only do they know it, but do they even know how to fit Shinsuke into their scheme? See, that's what concerns me a little bit, because I feel like AJ's a bit easier to integrate into a scheme, because I guess he's just more like a standard wrestler, whereas Shinsuke doing the strong style and all of this stuff, I don't know if that's harder for WWE to work into their thing. So, I don't know, maybe they will keep him down on NXT for a bit, but, I mean, him versus Joe would be a matchup I wouldn't be opposed to seeing, but I do think he should be on the main roster sooner rather than later. I just don't know what WWE feels about that.
Yeah, I think that they're going to do with Finn what they did with Sasha, where he's going to be on the main roster very, very soon. And then he is going to show up for NXT tapings and their live special that they have in June. And that'll be... Well, they might even have him come back for the live special in August, too, since Sasha had 2 before she was full-time main roster. But yeah, that's what I'm predicting for Finn.
Right. So. But what about Shinsuke, though? Because that's really what I was saying about Shinsuke.
Well, for Shinsuke, I think he's probably going to have a one-off match. You know what, though? No, I don't. I legitimately think that he is being called up within 3 months, and I don't think that he will have an NXT championship match in that time.
Right.
I think they're going to keep him separate from the NXT championship picture the same way that they kept Asuka separate from the women's championship picture right up until they put her in a program to win it.
Right.
But I don't think Nakamura is going to be put into a program to win it.
I think the only thing that really substantiates your claim is that they did the title change with Joe. This way they'd have a reason to facilitate another matchup between Balor and Joe, which would create even more distance between Shinsuke and the NXT championship picture.
Correct.
So, yeah, I could certainly see the merit in your assertions, but Shinsuke wins, and yeah, that's it. That's NXT. All right, let's move on to our next segment. High spots, low shots. I'll tell you what, my low shot is Blake and Murphy, because not only did they lose another matchup to the Hype Bros, no less, but they really should be on the main roster, so it's twofold. One reason a bit saltier than the other, admittedly, but they did lose, so my low shot still has merit. Blake and Murphy take it.
Yeah, you say that, but at the same time, even though they lost their match, the Hype Bros didn't really win because they got destroyed afterwards. Am I wrong?
I mean, they did get destroyed, but they did win a match, though, dude. It's in the record books. They beat Blake and Murphy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, regardless, making it simple, my low shot is Elias Samson.
Yeah. I mean, he lost a match, too, and really that's the same criteria I gave Blake and Murphy. No reason why that shouldn't work for you, for Elias Samson. My high spot, in case anybody couldn't tell with how enthusiastic I've been about them tonight, the Revival, and it's not even close. I mean, these guys were awesome. Yeah, the match they won was against, like, 2, jobbers, whatever, just guys to be fed to the Revival. But it's just everything they did within that context. The match was physical and aggressive. The post-match promo was great, and they substantiated it later on with an attack on the Hype Bros. I've become an even bigger fan of these guys after tonight. I'm into it. Honestly, American Alpha can enjoy the NXT tag division for a while because I don't see them dropping the belts immediately. The Revival's another team that I think could be called up too if you just want a great solid heel tag team. Love these guys. They're wonderful. Can't wait for the rematch. Easily my high spot.
Yeah, I can't blame you at all for that. My high spot's going to be Asuka because she dominated Eva Marie for the most part. Gave Eva Marie probably her best match, maybe second best because of that Bayley match, but it's close. And then, kind of laid down the gauntlet to Nia afterwards as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Asuka... And I'll completely admit that I'm accepting Asuka as sort of consolation prize because the Revival really were the best pick for high spot tonight.
Yes, I win one for once. I feel like you always get the best picks usually, but I got in there this week.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, when you do win, I rarely admit it.
That is also true. That's probably for the best. Knowing
but I'm
an
admitting
asshole.
it now, so that's true as well.
I love how you get that in at the end. Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, you're evil though.
I love you guys. But, that's NXT. Do you have any concluding remarks, bro?
No, I don't.
That tone, I think, is the concluding remark.
I'm sorry, guys. I wanted to be enthusiastic, but this NXT was just kind of meh. It wasn't bad. I didn't hate it. It was just kind of meh.
No, I'm right there with you, but look, all teasing aside, I totally get where you're coming from, man. Like NXT,
Totally, dude.
because yeah, NXT really needs to kick it up. I mean, Lucha under, right? It's like a bully on the playground, and normally the story ends with the weaker, the runts of the litter banding together and standing up. No, the bully's still kicking the shit out of him. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's, no, we're standing up to you and we learn the value. Shut the fuck up, Squirt. Sit the hell down. And they just get shoved and kicked in the ribs repeatedly, and then the kid goes home to find that his parents have divorced. Like, it's just the worst time for that child. That's NXT right now to me, in comparison to Lucha Underground that's just towering over them. And it just goes to dark places, mainly because it's me, but yeah, it gets dark. So, with that said...
It's definitely more a you thing.
Yeah, without question. Yeah, I have serious issues. So, with that said...
Well, at least you're aware of it.
This has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW. The best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web. Today, I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what question do you have for our subscribers this week?
Oh, man. You know what? I'm just going to kind of try and keep it simple. Do you guys think Shinsuke Nakamura is ever going to get an NXT title shot? And if he does, do you think he'll win it?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, please get that conversation started down in the comments. I would love to know the insight of our audience. Where does Shinsuke Nakamura fit in everything? And if I could just tack something onto your question, I mean, do you guys think that I'm wrong? Because I just feel like main roster WWE, I don't know if they have the brainpower and the creativity to find a way to make a guy like Shinsuke work into their scheme. Are my worries, am I kind of over-exaggerating? Where do you just see Shinsuke fit? And, of course, Ashton's question about, is he going to get an NXT title shot? Is he going to win it? What's going to happen with Shinsuke? Get that conversation started down in the comments. Be sure to take that conversation over to Tweetoff. That is Pro Wrestling is taking over Facebook. A lot of WWE discussion on there, including NXT. You'll be right at home. Also, be sure to like, share, and comment with the content on the TWitWoW Facebook page. We are on Facebook now, but if Facebook isn't your medium of choice, we also have a TWitWoW subreddit. On the TWitWoW subreddit, there you will find all of our TWitWoW content, and members of the TWitWoW subreddit can create threads of their own on all things related to pro wrestling. But if you want the best TWitWoW experience, I highly recommend you follow both of us on Twitter. I am at John_TWitWoW. That is JOHN_TWitWoW. Ashton is at apond404. That's the letter A, pond, the body of water, POND 404. And guys, I'll just tell you now, if you were like us and you thought that NXT was meh tonight, I guarantee you the rest of your week as far as TWitWoW goes, it's going to be anything but, because we have Thursday, we have our Thursday Night SmackDown review as per usual, and we got Friday, we've got our Payback preview and predictions coming at you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, John, we don't do SmackDown reviews on the week before pay-per-views.
Oh, that's right. We don't do that, but at the same token, that's out. But Payback preview and predictions, like I said, is coming down the pipeline. It is going to be great, guys. Me and Ashton, the discussions are going to be hot. Card is stacked. Very interesting discussion, I think, are going to take place. Payback preview and predictions. And then Sunday, you know what's coming. Payback live reactions. All the speculation, all the conjecture, everything comes to a head. Should be a very interesting live reaction. So we got those two great commentaries coming for you down the pipeline. So until then, all you football fans out there, enjoy draft week. I know we're going to. And until then, tune in and peace out.